Someone wrote into me recently and said, Kayla, growing up, I always wished I didn't care so much. I wish I didn't see the patterns that keep people trapped. I wish I didn't feel other people's feelings so deeply. I'm starting to understand why I am the way that I am, but how do I protect my peace and not let it bother me so much? That inspired this week's episode, How to Be Aware But Unbothered. Today, I'm going to tell you how to be someone who is very aware. You see a lot, feel a lot, sense a lot, but you also don't let it take up too much of your headspace, because being highly perceptive is a skill, and if it feels like something that is draining you, then something needs to change. Being aware and unbothered is not about caring less, and hear me, empaths, it does not make you rude or selfish. It's literally just a shift in your emotional state. Today, I'm going to break down why so many empaths struggle with this and wish that they had an off switch, why it feels so impossible to feel so much without letting it drain us, and how to truly become aware but unbothered. Hope you do stick with me to the end of this episode, because learning how to be aware and unbothered is the foundation to mastering the skill of clairsentience and using your empathic abilities for good. Welcome to the Sensing Self podcast. If you're new here, I'm Kayla. I help empaths to master their abilities so they can lead the room, not just read the room. If that's something that you want to do, you should subscribe and follow, because I drop new episodes weekly to help you to make sense of what you feel. If you want to work with me more closely, I do offer readings, and I have the Sensing Self Leadership Program. You can check that out using the link in the show notes below. Let's get into what is actually required to be aware but unbothered. Most people who have a lot of empathy care a lot. That is what they are known for. So tell me if this sounds like you. People often comment on how nice or kind you are. You have a gentle, calm, and quiet nature. Or people often tell you their struggles and challenges, and they open up to you without you even having to do very much. But there is a difference between being nice and being a doormat, and the difference is boundaries, which means how much of your energy is being drained at the expense of others. So when people comment on how nice you are, is it because that is who you truly are, or is it because you're masking to keep the peace? Do you have a gentle, calm, and quiet nature, or is there a part of you that is dying to be wild and have a good time? When people tell you their life story, are you satisfied, or is there a part of you that wishes that people would see you and hear you on a deep level too? See, because some people are empathic by default and others are empathic by being programmed to be that way. There isn't one that is better than the other, and it's important for you to be honest with where you're at. Because if you've ever felt like you have to be nice to someone even though you can tell that they're the problem, or if you've ever felt like you've tried to hold it all together while everyone else in your life doesn't seem to care, or if you've ever wished for deeper connection, intimacy, and friendships, then it's time that you learned how to be aware but unbothered, because there is a difference. And like I said, it's an emotional state of being. And if you stay in that state long enough, it can start becoming who you are. That means you can see someone else's pattern without feeling responsible for changing who you are just to keep the peace. You can be gentle, calm, but also fierce and wild, depending on how you feel, not on who is around you. You can be the type of person who creates deep connection with others instantly without it taking a toll on you or making you feel small or minimized. That's what we want to cultivate, a state of being aware but unbothered, where you can feel it all without being drained, where you can lead the room, not just read the room. So let's talk about why this problem is so common and what needs to shift to truly become aware but unbothered. I actually have a guided meditation for you that will help you to feel more of you and less of everyone else. It's completely free, and the link for that is in the show notes, so make sure that you check that out. It's time to understand why caring so much is draining you, so you can break the pattern and become aware but unbothered. Because if you don't understand the why, you'll just keep repeating the pattern unconsciously. Now, I need you to hear me when I say this. When you feel like you care so much, but it's costing you your energy, or you feel like you feel so much, but it's putting you into sensory overload, your body is actually telling you in that moment that you are prioritizing someone else's state over your own. So those symptoms that you feel, fatigue, overwhelm, burnout, confusion, are all a sign from your body that you are making someone else's emotional state more important than your own. And when you get those signs from your body, which is a form of clairsentience, when you receive sensations from the body that are actually messages, you need to pay attention, because no one, and I repeat, no one should have emotional dominance over your well-being. And if that's happened to you most of your life, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that that's happened to you, but it can change. And today's episode is going to teach you how. I want to make sure you bookmark this or save it so you can come back to it anytime you need a reminder, because patterns take time and consistency to learn. You can be that person who picks up on a lot, sees a lot, feels a lot, cares a lot without having it cost you your energy. It is possible. But when you have lived most of your life abandoning your body, ignoring the signs that it gives you, and putting other people first, guess what? Your body starts to get tired, and that's probably what you're experiencing so often. There is something else I need you to hear. The more you stay in that state of being aware but also being drained, the more your body will keep repeating that pattern of self-abandonment. Then you become someone who doesn't know how to ask for help, can't express their needs, always looks to others for permission to take action, or letting others go first, even when it means your loss and their gain. And being aware of others but not being self-aware is a trap that can keep you stuck and looping forever. That's why being self-aware is just as important as awareness in general. These things need to be in balance. And knowing what you need and how to live for you doesn't make you selfish. It makes you human. Specifically, the kind of human that doesn't put other people first at the cost of your well-being. I want you to take a second and think about, what does someone who is aware but unbothered actually look and act like? They're self-aware and aware of others. That person knows their limits. They know where their energy starts and others ends. They take accountability for what's theirs and let others make their own mistakes. And listen, I can almost hear some of you saying, if you know someone is about to make a mistake or is suffering and you don't help them, isn't that mean or cruel? And I totally understand this feeling. It would be like seeing a bird with a broken wing and just walking past without helping it. It feels cruel and wrong. I want you to understand, it's not about avoiding caring altogether. It's about knowing your limits. It's about knowing how much help you give. It's that difference between the child who picks up that bird with the broken wing and puts them in a shoebox at home, thinking they're helping but making it worse, versus the adult who understands good intentions does not always mean good help. Monitoring that bird within its environment would give it a better chance at survival. It's about recognizing that you can be aware of yourself and aware of others at the same time. So these are the core reasons why empaths often feel drained. They prioritize other people's well-being over their own. They neglect self-awareness over awareness in general. And I just want to remind you that you can be the person who cares a lot about others, but also takes good care of themselves. You can be the person who is deeply aware of the room around them, but also has the skill of boundaries and being self-aware. Those things can coexist, and they can be who you are if you want to be. You can be aware but unbothered. So let's talk about how. The first thing that you need to focus on, and you might have heard me say this before, is your presence is the present. This means that all of your power lies in your ability to be present. And I don't just mean being present with others, but also and even mainly being present with yourself. Because if you check out every time someone else is upset, you'll spend your life playing a game of emotional rebound, and that's exhausting. You need to be able to sense yourself, which is why my podcast and my program are named The Sensing Self, while also sensing so much around you. The skill behind that is presence. It's about not letting just anyone or anything hijack your awareness. That means a baby could be crying, but you are still feeling your own heartbeat. That means a door could slam, but you still feel your feet on the floor. That means your best friend could be in tears, but you're still strong and steady, ready to support instead of crumbling inside as well. Here's what you need to understand about this. Your brain is constantly picking up on the cues of what is happening around you, but also what is happening inside of you. If you put your attention and presence in your body, what's happening around you doesn't overpower your senses. And that's the biggest thing that most empaths struggle with and need to retrain. These are 2 of the 4 perceptual states, and they are called interoception, which is happening inside of you, and exteroception, which is happening outside of you. I go into all 4 plus more in the Sensing Self program. We go deep into how to work with our senses so you can stop getting overwhelmed with all that you pick up on and feel deeply grounded in your sense of self. The first thing that you need to do in order to become aware but unbothered is learning how to track your internal states just as much, if not more, as you scan the room around you. The easiest way to retrain this is by starting to make it more of a habit through repetition. Take time each day to start tuning in to your body. Do the more of you meditation that I mentioned earlier. Practice connecting to your body and what's happening inside of you. The more that you do this, the easier it becomes to do in your day-to-day life. The second thing you need to focus on to be aware but unbothered is to let what belongs to others stay with them. It's like I mentioned with the bird analogy. I know this is so hard to do sometimes, but sometimes you have to let other people struggle or learn the lesson that they need to. And you can still be there and be aware of it without having to fix it or take it on. It's the difference between the person who sits there and lets a random stranger talk about their problems for hours, making them late for their next appointment, versus being the person who can hear the first few lines and gently redirect them back toward their own accountability, saying something like, "That sounds really challenging. What are you going to do next?" There's one final thing to focus on in order to become aware but unbothered, and this might just be the one most important thing. Because I know, being someone who cares a lot, you often care about what other people think of you. You don't want to come off as rude or selfish, and most importantly, you don't want people to think that you don't care. Probably because you know that pain, you know what that feels like, and you don't want to do it to others. But this is the final tip in becoming aware but unbothered. Surrender. It's about realizing you can't change people. You can't keep serving up a buffet to those who would rather be starved. Sometimes you have to let go and ask yourself, what do I want and need right now? Because when you do that, the craziest thing happens. You actually inspire others to change without even trying. And it comes at way less of a cost to you. So instead of trying to manage their opinions or their expectations of you, which you have no control over anyways, surrender, let go, connect to you. Do what you need to in that moment to make yourself feel good, and just hope that it inspires them to do the same. Letting go doesn't mean that you stop caring. It means you start paying attention to your own energy instead of just managing the energy of the room and the people around you. That's how you go from reading the room to leading the room. That's how you inspire others, and that's how you become aware but unbothered. If this episode hit home for you, or you learned something from it, it would mean the world to me if you sent it out to others. And like I said earlier, I go so much deeper in the Sensing Self program, which you are invited to join using the link in the show notes. Try the More of You meditation, and be sure to tune in next week for another episode of the Sensing Self podcast.